What's up, y'all? You know what time it is? It's about to be that time.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
By don't get eaten, by don't get eaten by dinosaur. Yes. The ancient Pteranodon, one of nature's most interesting creatures that was able to reach sizes that rivaled a fighter jet. Can you believe it? Yes. And one of the very, very interesting things about these apex predators, mind you, was that they were able to pull their beaks back, the occipital lobe, so far back that they were able to launch into what it could only be described, it was almost like it was a laser beam, a flying slash, if you will. Very interesting creatures, beautiful, magnificent, majestic creatures they were, the Pteranodon.
Savage.
And we're back. You didn't know I had a black blade, did you? Back-to-back sword chapters. Different swords. But, yeah, it's been a while since we had, a chapter that really focused in on Zoro struggling. I mean, I can't, for the life of me, remember one in the post-time skip era, but here we are. This is the moment we've been waiting for, and I think that this is probably the best Zoro chapter that we've had since the pre-time skip. It really seems to me like Zoro has been sort of skating through all of his battles in the post-time skip era. You know, I mean, he dispatched Hyozo very quickly. Pika, it wasn't that he was struggling strength-wise, it was like a tricky battle that he had to figure out. Now, for this, it really seems like Zoro is really trying to figure this out. And I'm not trying to diminish his, fight against Tu Yonko either. Yeah, he was struggling then. But this is a one-on-one struggle on par with his fight with Mr. One, which to this day is still my favorite Zoro battle. I love going back to that chapter and thinking about just how the only way he could have beaten Mr. One is by activating Haki, subconsciously, unconsciously maybe. You go back to the post-Alabasta segments, right? You have Zoro, and he's just like, I gotta figure out how to draw this power back out. That one panel alone is enough for me to sort of say, in that moment, at the brink of death, Zoro was able to pull out Armament Haki against Das Bones. We got to see Shishishonson Lion Song for the first time in a long time, which is easily one of my favorite moves that Zoro has. This is the move that cut down Das Bones. This is the move that revealed that Kuma was part cyborg, right? But it seems to have done 0 damage to King, okay? And this is following a conversation between Queen and Sanji about the Lunarian race, right? And now, as we have been speculating on this channel very heavily, I truly believe that if Sanji and the Vinsmokes are not actually drawn from Lunarian blood to begin with, that they have been spliced with Lunarian DNA. Now, structurally, this makes sense because from a writing standpoint, right? Why would Queen be the one to talk to Sanji about Lunarians, right? Why are we as a reader hearing about this as Sanji's learning about it? Because it has to pertain to him intrinsically. This is like when Yamato was explaining to us, the reader, about flame clouds, and how did Yamato do it? By telling it to Momonosuke, who can produce flame clouds, and is now and all of that is being used to help hold up Onigashima, right? This is the same situation. For Queen to be telling this to Sanji, Sanji has something to do with the Lunarians. Now, King's extensive durability also tracks with Sanji's newfound durability. So there's something here, guys. There's something here. There really is. I think Judge took the durability of the Lunarians and their affinity for fire, and Sanji now has both. And then look at the way that he's manipulating and stretching his face around to, do these like beak shigans and all of that. That sort of seems like the restructuring that Sanji was doing when he was putting his bones back into play. And also, when you go back to Whole Cake and Yonji, had to put his face back together, right? But the key to activating this Lunarian DNA and all of this has to be the emotions, and that's why Sanji will be the best of his siblings and be that success. We finally got some Zoro lore though, and I need more. I need more Zoro lore. This was not enough. Understanding who Shimotsuki Kozaburo is interesting. But as usual with Oda, we're left with more questions than answers. We got maybe one answer, and then we got 2 or 3 questions. Okay, what is the deal with Kozaburo, right? How or why is he wanted, okay? Does this have anything to do with the Revolutionary Army being at Shimotsuki Village? Was Dragon attending Kozaburo's funeral, maybe? Did he have dealings with Kozaburo? Was Kozaburo making blades for the Revolutionary Army? Was Kozaburo a member of Rocks? You look at the timeline, it makes sense that Kozaburo likely fled Wano during the Kurozumi Purge, which was, roughly 50 years ago anyway. It's unsurprising to me that Kozaburo was unknown to Zoro, right? Like he said, he didn't know the geezer's name, and he didn't realize that it was Kuina's grandfather until he had died. Now, this goes into what we know of Sinachi, which means to, throw away your name, right? So that means that Kozaburo literally threw away his name and did not bring it up and just sort of sat around and fished. What did Kozaburo see or experience or be a part of that led him to sort of falling into this more provincial life, right? Because the teachings that he is giving Zoro on this ledge are the complete antithesis, the opposite to what Koshiro was teaching Zoro about swords. The stuff that he was pulling and drawing from during the Mr. One fight about, a sword can cut anything or nothing at all, and a sword that only, cuts people down is not really a sword, is not what, Kozaburo is saying here. And Kozaburo is Koshiro's father, right? He's saying swords are meant to cut people down, and that's it. Okay, that is their sole purpose. That is what I made these swords for, right? And we know that these swords that he makes are cursed. So the energy that he is putting forth into these swords, this demonic energy, that this sword is only meant to cut someone down, is what is cursing it. And Hyogoro, during Udon, echoed Koshiro's words, right? So that means that Koshiro is really following a more traditional Wano view of what a sword can and can't do. And I kind of believe that if we can go a little more in depth into Kozaburo's past, he probably felt this same way at some point, but then something happened. Some sort of event happened that changed him, right? He was probably making swords for the right reasons and then started making them for the wrong reasons because of blank, 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 blank events. Now, that could lead up to, any number of things. We know that the Marines, the world government, is afraid of samurai. They're afraid of Wano. Was Kozaburo a part of that? Was there some sort of an event where the Marines went up against some samurai and got completely decimated to the point where they were like, hey, why don't we just leave these guys alone, right? They're just over there. We'll just let them do what they're doing, and it's gonna be okay. We're not gonna... You guys got this. You got it. We're good. We're good. Make something that can beat them, please. We're good. We're good. Yes. Keep working on those secret things to beat the samurai. We're good. We're not coming after you. It's okay. All right? Later. Now, I saw something on Twitter that I thought was very interesting. The sword that Kozaburo is holding in the flashback has the same hilt as Shiryu of the Rain's sword. So, is he holding a Kozaburo sword? Or is he holding Kozaburo's sword? Just period. Potentially. That would be a great way for Oda to tie in an extra motivation for that fight later on. Did the old man die of natural causes? Or did Shiryu cut him down and take his sword? These are interesting questions to ask. I don't think that Oda will go there, but it would be a smart way to tie everything in if he did. One of the big issues that I actually have with this chapter is that this is a rare instance where Oda giving us extra information in the extended content, we're talking SBSs, we're talking Viva cards, came back to bite us, the readers, who actually, read this extended content, because we already knew that Kozaburo was the geezer in, Zoro's town. We already knew that he was Kuina's grandfather, Koshiro's dad, and all this. This was told to us in SBSs. So there was no impact reading this chapter and, oh, wow, Kuina's grandfather and all of this. No, we knew this already. But I commend Oda for not only giving us that information in the SBS, but then still giving it to us in a chapter. And it's still great. This is one of the best chapters of Onigashima for sure. And this is something that we needed. This is something that Zoro needed. Okay, this is the only way for him to truly grow as a character. He needs to go through all of this. We need more lore. We need a lot more. Okay, but this is a great start. Also in the SBSs, someone asked Oda to draw Zoro's swords if they were people. And basically, Oda drew the Wado Ichimonji with the same weird unibrow that Kozaburo has. So, there's that. It's a fun little tie-in as well. Now, we know that Ashura has some sort of conquerors involved with it. So, it's possible that we could go back to the fight with Kaku and say that for that split moment using Ashura, Zoro may have unleashed conquerors. But here, Zoro has actually actively put the certified Haki drip on his blades. Basically putting him up there with the likes of Whitebeard, of Roger, Luffy, right? Goats, Yamato, Kaido. These are the people that we've seen do it. And that's crazy. Now, I wish that Oda had done it in a larger panel, because through my first read-through, I actually had missed the lightning coming off of the swords in that, the second to last panel there. This is a very big moment that just sort of gets put into the corner of a frame. Now, of course, you have King's dialogue that says, oh, you've got kingly ambitions too, something along those lines. And naturally, the fodder get knocked out as well. But, man, it really should have, had different panels showing it. Because I think that, we got that in Dressrosa, right? When Zoro was putting armament on his swords versus Pika. Zoro dedicated panels to that happening. But here, Oda's just sort of letting it fly. Now, this is cool. This is great. I need more. Obviously, Zoro's having a... not necessarily is he only struggling against King. He's struggling against his sword. And this goes into all of the lore that we know about swords to begin with. And basically, Enma is testing him, right? Odin was the original user of Enma, and Odin traveled the seas with goats. Like real, certified grass-eating goats, okay? We're talking Roger, we're talking Whitebeard. These guys could put drip on their swords, okay? Enma is used to being in the company of these goats. Zoro, in order to tame this sword, he's got to let the spirit that is inside Enma understand that yes, you too will be in the presence of goats. I made a promise to my captain, I made a promise to my oldest friend that I'm going to be the goat. So if you want to join, up with that, you want to be a part of that journey, stop playing around, stop, draining my arm like Crocodile using Barkon, and let me do my thing. What do I expect for next week? Potentially more Zoro business. Hopefully not too much. I'd like to see what some of the other Straw Hats are up to, but I do think that Oda is trying to position Zoro in a way to get him over to where Hiyori and Orochi are, right? Because there is that established through line. Jinbei has not been seen for a very long time. I am waiting to understand what he's going to be doing. Is he going to play firefighter against Kazenbo? Are Nami and Tama going to finally catch up with Sanji and Queen and fill the through lines between their storylines? Is Usopp going to inch ever closer to Kiku? These are things that I'd like to see, but I think that we're going to continue to focus on Zoro. It would be great if Raizo versus Fukurokuju ended, because it should have ended months ago.
Savage.
But either way, that's going to do it for me this week, guys. I want to thank the new members to the channel. We're at 127 members. We got a new emoji at 125. I already switched out some of the emojis for the streams, but now we have
Another one.
So thank you to Christy Reardon, Kip/C-Sway, Anthony Rieger, Swaboosh, Killer B0047 for joining, and Keyboard Cat for rejoining. So thank you to you guys. Thank you to everybody that supports the channel, that supports me and Chrissy. And we are extremely appreciative. Thanks to everybody who supported the move. I'm still figuring things out. I'm toying with lights. I gotta get these shadows out of here, but I wanted to shoot the video. And I'm still designing what'll be the the real background. But this is fun. This is fun. So thanks everybody for hanging out, and I'll catch you next time. Later.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.